This statement is a tribute to the late Sulocana Das, and it is neither a eulogy nor a personal ego trip. It is instead a statement that must emphasize one thing clearly right from the gate. We honor the man by doing what he exhorted us to do in his chief work, the Guru business. We pay tribute to him by working against the evil elements that were transforming and destroying the movement at that time, and which at this time have rendered it a dying institution. As such, why should I begin this statement by going over my adventures with Sulocana in the summer of 1985? They are not very important, although we did accomplish a lot. As such, this tribute to the man must needs be divided into two parts. One, a concise rendering of Sulocana's major achievements, particularly in terms of their lasting value. And two, culling out four notable excerpts from his manuscript, which let us know what he now expects from us. This second part must also be subdivided, because Sulocana recorded three obvious and major deviations in his manuscript. One of those anomalies is entirely irrelevant now. One is just a hair short of also being irrelevant. But the third one remains operative in the field today, relevant and very malefic. I should like to revise in your memory that these were the three chief features of the fabricated so-called ISKCON movement from back in the day. Sulocana considered them to be inimical to Srila Prabhupada's branch of Lord Chaitanya's Krishna consciousness movement, since they worked against it in its and his name. One personal note, Sulocana and I only worked together on the rough draft of his book. He completed his final copy without any editing from me, and with only a few suggestions from me via long-distance phone calls. His manuscript contains some bad spelling and some questionable syntax here and there, all of which I would have probably corrected if I had made the final edit. That errata must be seen, however, as nothing more than spots on the brilliant full moon of what he powerfully communicated in his book. Sulocana made 5 contributions to and for us, and these can be divided into 3 made while he was alive and 2 post-mortem. His first contribution was taking the risk to finagle hard copies of the letters to be smuggled out from the vaults in Los Angeles and thus made available to the devotees at large for the first time. His friend Bhaktidas was instrumental in this, of course. Still, without Sulocana's relentless push for it and impetus, it is doubtful that this knowledge would have been revealed until much, much later. His second contribution was painstakingly analyzing all of those letters and disseminating the contents that he considered important. Previous to the Guru business, they spread in the form of mailed tracts and shocked many devotees. The specific excerpts he revealed created doubts about Kirtan Ananda, doubts about the other 10 pretenders, and doubt about the governing body commission itself, which was his most important contribution. His third, while he was still alive, was the production and initial dissemination of the Guru business, a book, although not professionally published and distributed, which made the rounds and had a profound influence on the lives of many devotees worldwide. His fourth contribution came as a direct result of his assassination. Everyone knew who had to have been behind it, and that was eventually confirmed. In an almost miraculous reversal of fortune, the assassin was apprehended by county police in a small college town in Ohio just before he would have fled the country with his family. However, despite the fact that Sulochan's martyrdom was integral to taking Kirtan Ananda down, their battle was a Mexican standoff while Steve Bryant was still alive. It was mutually assured destruction afterward. Still, Kirtan Ananda never recovered from the flotsam, and it upended the most influential pretender of the bunch. That was big. Sulochan's fifth and final contribution, also post-mortem, was the shock wave throughout the movement of his violent death, quickly forcing all but two of the remaining pretenders to remove their imitation seats in the temples and no longer take Uttama Udhikari worship. This set the stage for the second transformation, of course, so it was not a return to square one by any means. Nevertheless, some devotees were forced to wake up to see clearly that something was deeply wrong in a movement where a dissident who is ultimately proven right could be executed by someone who was supposed to be on the highest platform of love of God. It forced important questions that had not been previously asked by most of the devotees, and it opened the floodgates also for most of the most fortunate to get actual answers and put the pieces of the puzzle together for themselves. It was a major contribution, at least for them. Tatvamasi. I should like to conclude with 4 excerpts as aforementioned. The first one is found in Chapter 1 of The Guru Business. Quote, sane men do not engage in diplomacy and conspiracy. The pull of opulence and properties is illusory. No one can keep the control forever. It was not that simply some small section of devotees was trained by Srila Prabhupada. The training was open to everyone and still is. In Srila Prabhupada's personal presence, those quote-unquote top men he hoped to train instead became enwrapped in personal ambition. They have been thinking for some time now that they are the lords of all that they survey. This GBC has become a gang of blasphemous conspirators. It is a very dangerous conspiracy. The Krishna consciousness movement, as established by Srila Prabhupada, is vital for the upliftment of the entire world. Now it has become almost completely spoiled by the GBC, and particularly the Guru subsection. Of course, they required help, and so there are many fools keeping the thing propped up, unquote. The second and third excerpts are found in Chapter 2 of the Guru Business. Quote, from these letters, it is clear that Prabhupada was not very pleased with the GBC. Srila Prabhupada also defines bogus institutions as, quote-unquote, making a show of the deity to cheat an innocent public. So if the deity doesn't make an institution transcendental, then what does? Answer the purity of the followers and specifically the leader. That is the answer. ISKCON is bona fide because of Srila Prabhupada, not because of the GBC. There are so many stories about all the quote-unquote gurus which point to the fact that the purity isn't there. That is allowing this conspiracy to stay in power, unquote. And we go to the next excerpt. Quote, Balavanta Das Udhikari, this year's chairman of the GBC, in confronting a devotee distressed by ISKCON politics, revealed the underlying conception which is the foundation of the whole betrayal. He said, quote, this movement is run Machiavellian. Tamal Krishna introduced it and Srila Prabhupada approved it, unquote. The bona fide spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, could never have ordered or approved that his movement be run in a Machiavellian fashion. His leading secretaries wanted to project that, and he gave them the rope by which they could hang themselves. In this case, in the perfect arrangement to deceive those deceptive disciples who wanted to deceive him, we find the truth about the spiritual master. Unquote. The fourth excerpt from the Guru Business is found in Chapter 3. It was called out from a letter to Hangsaduta in April 1972. Quote, "What will happen when I am not here? Shall everything be spoiled by GBC?" Unquote. Here's what Sulochan had to say about it. Quote, "Srila Prabhupada directly doubts whether there is any possibility that the management will carry on after his departure. We can see that his doubt was not only utterly justified, but was directly a warning to all of us. Srila Prabhupada specifically states that the whole movement may become victimized and spoiled by the GBC. It has come to take place. Srila Prabhupada specifically states that the GBC men who call themselves Srila Prabhupada's quote-unquote direct representatives have a propensity to simply plot and scheme. In this section, we are exposing many of those plots and schemes. We ask you also to expose these to all those who are sincere enough to hear and benefit from these truths. Then the duty becomes obvious." Unquote. Sulochan Das rightly calls it a conspiracy. He fought against Kirtan Ananda, the zonal acharyas, and the GBC. The first fight is over, and Kirtan Ananda has now been dead for quite a while. The zonals are just about as irrelevant. If we truly want to honor and vindicate Sulochan Das, we shall do what he exhorts us to do, namely, expose the power node of the so-called ISKCON Confederation, expose the GBC, the vitiated GBC. This third fight remains both current and relevant, and our duty is thus obvious. Tadeva Samya